How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Doing good. So awesome to have you on here finally. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and talk today. I'm sure everybody out there, well, most of the people that have been following the channel for quite some time, I'm sure they're aware of who you are. Uh, I've talked about you multiple times in a lot of the videos, and you've been in the comments section for quite some time. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who know who you are, but there's a lot of new subscribers on the channel now too, as you're probably aware. The channel is growing really, really fast. I
And
looked at,
praise God for it,
I'm,
right?
I'm telling you, I
I
looked at it
love
this
it.
morning. It's almost at 3,300 subscribers as of right now, and I just started the channel 3 months ago, and it's grown that fast. It's just amazing. And it's people like you that are the reason that this video and this channel is growing as large as it is. So I appreciate you more than you know. But well, let's go ahead and hop into it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Starting off from your childhood, maybe where you grew up. What your childhood was like.
Well, yeah, I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana. Um, but I moved around a lot. I was a military brat. I lived in Wisconsin, half of my childhood, and then we started moving. I moved to South Carolina, as I was telling you earlier. Um, I went to school in the suburbs of Atlanta. Um, and pretty much, I've been in ROTC. I love the country and all of that. I think the drinking probably started after that when I was like 19.
Okay.
It wasn't as excessive at that point. It was just, kids being kids.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, that's where I came from.
Did
That's
you?
how I started.
I understand. Did you have anybody in your family that were drinkers? Did you experience any alcoholics when you were growing up? Were you around it? Did you see it? Anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I come from a family of drinkers. I'm the only one that got sick, but my entire family, on my mom's side, they are drinkers.
Okay.
So it was just kind of rare for me to get sick from it, because it doesn't happen. But I also have my dad's genes, who the women have problems a lot. So that's where it came from.
Okay. Do you have some sort of like an odd mutation of a gene or something in your liver that's caused you problems?
No, no, no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I know there's some people out there that have like a mutated gene or they have like a genetic predisposition to having liver disease and things like that. They haven't told you anything like that that you're aware of?
N- No,
Okay.
yeah, that I'm aware of. No, and I check
Okay.
my stats daily because you constantly get medical records daily whenever you're going through a situation. So
Oh, yeah.
no, I haven't received any. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're hospitalized. If you're on the portal when you're in the hospital, it's you're constantly getting the updates from the lab work because they're pulling labs like every
Right.
couple hours, and you keep getting alerts. There's a new lab results are up, and you can pull your stuff and look at it constantly throughout the day. But we'll get into all that in here
Yeah,
in
and
a
that's the
little bit.
scary part.
Oh yeah, yeah. Trust me, I know all about it. So why don't you talk a little bit about when you first experimented with alcohol? What was that like, and what was your experience?
Well, the first time I experienced alcohol, I was 19, living in Wisconsin. It wasn't excessive at that point. It became obsessive, when I went through a trauma with I was gonna get married, and it ended, and I was pregnant and had an abortion, and so that made me just want to drink a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I remember just drinking all the time at that point, after, the situation, the abortion. And then I moved to Indianapolis back home, and then I started culinary school. And then I knew at that point all the chefs were drinking and smoking, and it was just a way of life.
Yeah. What culinary school did you go to?
I went to the Chef's Academy in Indianapolis,
O-
Indiana, it's like
o-
downtown.
Okay. Was that a 2 year degree that you got?
So I did a fast forward degree, but yeah, it was like a year and a half for me to get it.
Yeah,
Um,
I had
it
the
started
same
with 40 people, ended up with five, and I was one of the five.
I had the same thing when I was 19 or 20, somewhere around there. I got accepted into Johnson and Wales, which is in Charleston, and I had been in the restaurant industry since I, was old enough to work, and went. They offered me the fast track as well. Yeah, we had to take a test. It was like 300 questions, and once you did that test, if you passed, they let you fast track, and if you had previous experience in it. But I didn't end up going. My wife begged me not to leave, and I ended up staying. So,
And I encourage people not to go because honestly, like you can learn the same thing just cooking at home. You don't need to um have multiple, what is it called, bills
yeah.
in order to go to culinary school. But yeah, it was a time I enjoyed it, but that's when I knew that I didn't want to be in that industry because everybody was drinking like it
Yeah.
too excessive. Yeah, so it was just like wow.
Well, the thing about it is that I'm sure you were working at a restaurant at some point that during that period of time, doing your what's it called? I can't remember
The
the name.
last parts,
Yeah,
yeah, when I was done with my cooking part, yeah, I don't remember the name of
yeah, I can't remember the name of it either. But I had a bunch of students. There's Helms College, which is ran by Goodwill, is right by where I live at, and I got set up with that college. And I would take their students and employ them once they got towards the end of their culinary degree. I can't remember the name of that term, but I had a bunch of students that worked for me during that period of time. Um, and they get to experience it first world, being in an actual restaurant and working in there. And the thing that ends up happening, and I know you know about this, you get a group of people together, especially a bunch of younger people, and you're working till 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning in a restaurant, and then what does everybody do when they get off work? Everybody goes out. Not
get
everybody,
high
but
or they get drunk, same,
a,
yeah.
most people do end up getting together because it's a family. The restaurant's a family, and everybody gets together, and then everybody goes out at the end of the night. And like I said, it's not everybody. You have some people that don't, but a lot, especially the younger guys, end up going out, and it's a big group of people. And of course, when you're in the restaurant industry, if you go to a bar, a lot of times you get discounts for being an F&B. And everybody knows everybody because you're going to a bar and they're an F&B. So then you go to the bar, those bartenders because you've dealt with them over a period of time. So of course they're hooking you up. You're getting
Right.
free drinks, and it just
Yep.
ends up turning into, next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Then you're back at somebody's house after that, and the party just keeps going on. And then, of course, the next morning,
Yeah.
everybody shows up for work when you've got a big event, and everybody's just hungover and feels like crap. But everybody's got good stories. But like I said, I have a lot of experience in that right there. Uh, when after you had that breakup and you started drinking to excess, were you on a daily drinking binge at that point, or was it kind of
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely. Like honestly, after I left the Chef's Academy, I was living with my sister. I'm from Indianapolis, so I got a lot of family there. So I was want to drink wine. I had no money, so I would just go in and steal it. Like, I was just really that deep into it where I'm stealing boxes of wine and just, just being ridiculous, walking up the street just to, steal. It was just really, really bad. That's when it first started. But it gets crazier as the time goes on.
I understand.
Um, yeah, it was bad.
Were you drinking the cooking wine out of the kitchen?
Okay, so let me tell you, they would have the box wine, right? And
Yeah.
so we would like, I remember one class after me, they drank the whole thing and they came out stumbling. But for me, I remember drinking it, and then the sheriffs were called. So I'm in the dean's office, and they're like, "Are you?" I did a breathalyzer. I don't know how I did a 0.00 because that was messed up. But thank God. But yeah, yep. I remember drinking not only just the wine, but they also had alcohol.
Oh yeah.
When you cook, yeah. So
Brandy.
I,
I've seen so many chefs as a young guy. My chefs would drink the E&J. That bottle would always go missing.
hmm
And of course, and I personally did it myself when I was a chef. I always needed vodka for vodka sauce, and I would
vodka sauce.
yeah. And of course, I got way more than I needed. I'd go up to the bar and say, I need a glass of vodka from a vodka sauce. And they'd go to pour me. I just, give me the bottle. I'd go back to the kitchen, pour a little bit in the sauce, deglaze the pan with it. And then next thing you know, I'm back there pouring myself a cup. And then I take it back to the bar after I was done. And they're like, you used a lot of vodka. Like, yeah. Yeah, I had to, I had to make that sauce taste good. But,
I
uh,
could not. I couldn't even work after vodka. I will let you know that. I think I told you yesterday I worked with Jim Irsay, and he would give us like vodka. And no, at that time I was just like, I just want to drink red wine.
okay.
Yeah, but then it got real after culinary school.
So, about what age were you when you got out of culinary school?
Man, I was actually old. I would say older than most people. I was like maybe 30 something.
Okay.
I was working at the Conrad in Indianapolis where all the celebrities go, and I would cook for them and things like that. Um, but at the end of the day, I still couldn't stop drinking, right? So it was just I couldn't even keep that job because I was excessively drinking. I cooked for like the Milwaukee Bucks, how we meet people and
Yeah.
the celebrities are staying there, and I'm cooking for them. But I was an alcoholic. Oh, that's all I really care about at that point.
Yeah. So your alcoholism didn't really get bad until you were in your 30s.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But I started at night before then, but it didn't get rough until the 30s.
Gotcha. So tell me about when the alcohol consumption started to get bad. Do you remember when that happened?
Yeah, I do. I was living here in Virginia, and for some reason I just loved to drink vodka. Um and it got to the point to where I was in the hospital, and I had my first bout of pancreatitis because I never felt anything. But then it was just like I was literally at jobs, I was throwing up 7 times a day when I woke up. It was just so much pain, and I was normally I do well with pain, but this one I was just like, man, what is going on? I had a bad breakup with my boyfriend at the time, and so I was just drinking excessively. And I went to the hospital, and they had to do emergency surgery because of the cyst on my pancreas was huge.
Yeah.
And so that was back in 2017. That's how I knew it was problem, but I still couldn't stop. Still couldn't stop.
So let me ask you a question, because I personally did this. I was in the middle of pancreatitis, and when we talked yesterday, I told you that after I'd had pancreatitis multiple times, in that I was diagnosed for, I realized that I'd had pancreatitis in the past. I just never went to the hospital for it. And one of the things that I tried to do when I was in the middle of pancreatitis was I tried to drink when I was in the middle of pancreatitis because I thought that would make me feel better. Did you do the same thing?
Same. Yeah, when it first
Yeah,
hit, I was like, okay. So I grabbed my bottle of vodka and I'm like, maybe I'm just like going through withdrawals or something. So I started drinking. I
yeah,
didn't realize that that was the reason why I was, yeah,
yeah,
yep, I did the same thing.
yeah, yeah. And
That's
all you're doing is
crazy.
you're just pouring gasoline on a fire when you're doing that, and you just don't know what you're doing.
Yep,
I did the same
yep.
thing. I thought that I was going through withdrawals, and I thought that maybe if I got some more alcohol in me, it would alleviate it, and I would feel better because it worked when I was hungover, but not for
Mm-hmm.
pancreatitis.
No,
It,
no, it's a whole different world whenever you get it because it's like again, you and I think the same. I'm sure a lot of alcoholics think the same. You want to when you feel bad, just drink a little bit more and you'll be fine. Like when you have a hangover, you drink a little bit more and then you feel fine. But and I was throwing up seven. I was seven times I remember, and I was like, let me just get my vodka real quick. No,
yeah.
no,
So,
and it was bad.
what was the first thing that like when you got sick? What was like the first thing you noticed when you got pancreatitis? What was like the first symptom that you picked up on? Was it the vomiting that you picked up on?
Well, the vomiting, but most importantly, my back pain.
Yeah.
So it would radiate from the pancreas to the back.
Yep.
And I was at work, and I love being at work and being the number one person, but I just remember just sitting there with my head on my desk and just beating. And then my managers came up and was like, Veronica, you take care of yourself. You have to go to the hospital. And so I went to Fairfax up here in the DC area and that's where I had my first surgery. I wouldn't say surgery, procedure.
Gotcha. So when you went to the hospital, you were in full blown pancreatitis at that period of time.
Yeah.
And so when you went to the hospital, did they do what was the procedure that they did in order to verify that you had pancreatitis? Was it blood work, CAT scan? What did they do?
It was both. They did
Okay.
the blood work, of course, the CAT scan, and then after they figure out what was going on, I had the emergency surgery. They put a stent in
Yeah.
to drain it, the fluid out or whatnot. But yeah, that still didn't stop me.
So they
It
put
still,
oh, I know. So they put a stent into the what's that thing called?
the pancreas or
The cyst.
the
They put the
cyst.
stent into
Yeah,
the
they did.
cyst. Did they run
Mhm.
that stent into your stomach to drain off?
No, I didn't even feel it. Like I don't know how they did it, but I just had it in for 2 weeks, and then I went back in and they took it out. So
Did you
I just remember the doctor telling me no drinking, no smoking, which I don't smoke. But
so
and the thing about that is, check this out. So when he said no drinking, I went out to my car and was drinking the same day.
wow.
That's how crazy I was. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you had a procedure on your pancreas, got done with that procedure and then proceeded to go out to your car and have a drink after the fact.
Yeah, yeah, because I didn't realize how serious it was.
Did they put you under to do that procedure?
Yeah.
So you had just come off of being under and drank. Oh wow.
Yep.
All right. All right, it's getting interesting now. Okay, so you got out of
So
the
bad.
hospital. Did you stay in the hospital for any length of time during that?
I did, yeah. I think I was in there for a couple of days. My family came and visit me, and I like to do everything on my own. I'm not married or anything, so when I do things, it is on my own, and then I'll let my family know, and they'll come up. But yeah, they visit me, and again, I was there maybe like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you manage to get out of the hospital to go get your drink? Were you in a gown or did you put your clothes back
No,
on?
no, no. I'm saying after I wasn't there drinking.
Okay, okay.
But as soon as, well, when I had my follow up, right? And the doctor was saying, no drinking, no smoking ever again. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went out to my car and started drinking again.
Oh wow.
Ah,
So that was
so
that
bad.
that was after your follow-up visit that you went
My
and did that.
follow up, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So after you got diagnosed with pancreatitis, you get out of the hospital, you go back, you do your follow-up, you go and you drink after your follow-up. What happens after that?
Nothing. I didn't feel anything for about a couple years. And then all of a sudden, it came on again. I was living in Philadelphia, and I remember sitting in my car and I couldn't move, and the pain, as you know, it is just debilitating.
Yeah,
You really can't move, and so I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to go to the hospital. So I went, and they kept me in there for a couple days. I've had a pancreatitis like pain for a long time. So but that was my second bout. I was in there for like a week, and then they let me go. I didn't understand why they wouldn't let me eat.
yeah,
You pump me up with morphine, or, whatnot, and I still can't eat. But they, like I said, they don't really, in my opinion, let us know how deep and concerning it is.
yeah.
So that's the reason why I was like, man, okay, there's like no more drinking. Yeah, you're talking to an alcoholic. Like, obviously, I'm gonna drink,
Exactly.
but you gotta let us know how deep it is. And so I kept going. I was in the hospital in Philadelphia, for about a week.
Okay. Um, so when you went to the hospital that other time, when you said you were sitting in your car and you couldn't move, you went to the hospital again. They told you had pancreatitis, and you were in there for a few days that time. I'm guessing that you got out of the hospital and you continued to drink again after that.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as I got out, I was reaching for my box of wine. As soon as I got out, that's the horrible part about it. Um, because you just like the feeling of being inebriated,
Oh yeah.
you know. So when I got out, I uh, went to my car. My box of wine was there. Started drinking again.
Well, while we're on the topic, and we've got a few minutes left here on this segment before we end, I really want to dive a little bit deeper into the pancreatitis, since we're kind of there right now. Um, can what would you say? And for one thing, and I know you understand because you just brought this up, the fact they won't let you eat, which is horrible in itself, but they will not also let you have anything to drink,
Right.
which I think is one of the worst parts because you are so thirsty and they will not let you even have a sip. Well, they'll let you have a sip of water if you have to take some oral medications, but the nurse will stand there with the cup and it'll have like that much water in it and they're like only a sip and they'll make like stand there beside you at the bed while you take your medicine and they yank the cup back right out of your hand and all you want to do is just get like a swallow of water down. And it's
It
just
is bad.
I know it's horrible.
Yeah. No,
But
sometimes I'll beg for just ice cubes,
yeah, yeah.
just something.
Sometimes you'll get a nurse that's nice and they'll bring you some ice cubes or something like that, but they'll also bring you that little sponge that's on a stick. It looks like a
Oh, I never had that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it looks like a lollipop and they bring it to you and it's like soaked in like a solution. So I don't know if it's water or what, but they give it to you and you can like rub it around your mouth just to kind of wet your mouth a little bit, but that's the amount of liquid they'll allow you to
It's
have.
horrible. It's horrible.
Just since we're here, go over pancreatitis for those that are out there who have never experienced it and what it's like. All the stuff that comes along with pancreatitis. You've already touched on the fact that I'm sorry. You already touched on the fact that you get sick and you vomit a lot. But can you go ahead and talk about everything else that comes along with pancreatitis?
Yeah, the pain, outside of just throwing up a lot, the pain is like no other.
Yeah,
Um, and so, you can't eat really off of it. And that's the reason why the hospital doesn't let you eat, because it irritates it. And so I used to just be doubled over. Like, I knew it was pain that I've never had before in my life.
yeah,
And people don't realize it hurts. So whenever I get in the hospital, I'm all like, I would just remember throwing up a lot when I was at the hospital and just screaming. And I cried one time, because it's undescribable. And so even with liver disease, it could not touch how much pain is in the pancreas whenever you get it. And so again, the thirst, the you want your mouth to be some sort of, because you're so dehydrated, and then your lips are just like chapped up, and
yeah,
it is just, and then they keep pumping you up with all the medication, and it's
yeah.
just, um I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It is a very painful situation for sure, and it
It,
can last for days.
yeah, it can. Did you throw up blood at all?
Not with the pancreas,
Okay.
no.
Um,
It was just more bile and stuff like that. But
were you running fever or anything when you're in the middle of pancreatitis?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No, I was just, nope, just sick.
I
Like,
had it
no,
where I had it where I was running fever. I had the chills. I was freezing cold. Extreme fatigue. I mean, to the point where I couldn't even walk. I had to have uh, I had to have help walking, because I was so tired.
mm,
And just everything that came along with it was just completely horrible. I remember just feeling like the flu times 10, and then on top of it, that back pain in your lower back, and like I said, it's just when it's happening,
oh
um,
yeah. Even
especially
to this day, even though I don't drink, to this day, if I feel a little ting in my back, I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
yeah,
Because I know what that means.
yeah.
Here it
It, it
comes again.
it'll definitely cause trauma and a lot of anxiety, because anytime that you feel like a weird pain in your back or right where your pancreas is, you're like, oh, here we go again. And you're like, oh no, it's going to be another 2 weeks stay in the hospital. I'm not going to be able to eat or drink anything. And with what I've talked about, there comes stigma along with it. And unfortunately, you don't get treated the best sometimes when you're in the hospital with alcohol induced pancreatitis. Um, can you touch a little bit about that? Do you feel like there was some stigma that was brought along with your treatment when you were in the hospital?
Well, even to this day, even with the liver disease and the pancreatitis, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. I feel like I wish I could look at my chart to see what they're saying about it. But yeah, they always ask, what was your last drink? And, you need to stop. Yeah, I understand that, right? Like, we all get it. But it was just the way that they, kind of dismissed me. Um, Either as a person that's an alcoholic and they see all these people all the time,
Yeah,
or I'm just, who knows what they think. They won't give me medication anymore. And it's just, it's, man, if I could go and have people understand how serious it is, because again, I don't think they understand how serious it is. But yeah, yeah, I wasn't treated well, and I'm talking to this day
yeah.
because of the alcoholism.
I've faced the same thing, and it's unfortunate. instead of them looking at alcoholism as a disease, it's looked at as you're less human, and like you chose this path, like you decided that's what you wanted to do. And I've talked about it over and over again. None of us chose to become alcoholics. It's not like when we had our first drink, you're like, you know what? As
Right.
of right now, man, I'm gonna drink so much that I'm gonna get liver disease, and I'm gonna end up with pancreatitis, and I want to destroy my life and everybody around me. It's not the way it works out. And I know that there were many times probably that you were like, you know, praising God and begging Him to just break you free from those chains. And it just, you,
I'm not gonna lie. I never really did until recently.
oh,
I
really?
was losing jobs. Yeah, I would lose a job. I remember one of the best jobs I ever had here in the DC area. I was doing passport, sort of like expedited passport situation. And anyway, so I got promoted really quickly, and then um the drinking. And so the first time it happened, they just took my keys and sent me an Uber home. Still embarrassing, right? Second time it happened, I got fired. And I was just like, that was the first job I got fired from drinking.
Oh, wow.
Because it just couldn't stop at that point. I mean, I just maybe I could have, but I don't think I could have. And so it was just like, oh, here we go. And it went down a whole length of job that I've lost because of the drinking.
Yeah. Well, I think that right there is a perfect place for us to go ahead and stop right now. I'm like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and break this up into 30-minute sections. So, guys, thank you so much for watching this video today. I really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and stop this, and then I'm going to get back with Veronica on another Zoom. And this video will be up today, and the rest of them are going to go up over the weekend, depending on how long that we decide to go with this. But I really appreciate you coming on today, Veronica. It's so awesome to finally get a face with the little picture that's on there on the
Yeah,
comment
my
section.
pleasure.
It's so nice to talk to
Same.
you, and I really appreciate you coming on. But like I said,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and